10 minutes past 11 here on The Big Debate. That was Mahi Aja by Bohemia and Rahul here on the Asian Network. And, I've just got an absolute legend in the studio. And also Nikesh as well, who's a sports reporter. No, I've got Monty Panesar as well. All you cricket fans out there will know who he is. But for everyone else, a legendary spinner. And also my favourite Ashes moment. You were a big part in that as well. Of course, the Ashes are just around the corner. England fly out to Australia next week for the highly anticipated clash. And Monty, you know all about that pressure. Thanks very much for coming to the studio, and hopefully you can tell us a little bit about what it's going to be like for them out there.
Yeah, Ashes, it's probably the biggest, I think the cricket, for English cricket, I would say it's the biggest tournament, biggest series. It sounds like a tournament, doesn't it? 5 Test series in Australia. So yeah, I think everyone's going to be looking forward to it. I'll be looking forward to it, and I'm sure everyone else in the country will be looking forward to it.
Just tell us about the pressure. Everyone talks about the pressure, and everyone talks about it being so huge. What is it actually like for a player there? It's
slightly different from here because I think the media catches on to you, the fans, the public, they sort of pick up, they're very knowledgeable on cricket there. So they would start talking about if England don't do well, then the fans and everyone sort of turn on against them as well. But you got to also understand that if Australia start lose let's say first couple of test matches, or they lose the first one, the media turns on them, the fans turns on them. So it's that environment where it's everyone's very passionate about cricket, but you'll get a lot more opinions coming at you than maybe in England.
And they say the scrutiny here is bad when you get up to test level. And obviously we've had quite a bit of that with some of the players who try to step up this summer. And then you say it's going to go to another higher level when they get over to Australia.
I think sometimes it's the build-up as well. There's obviously a lot of history between two countries, and we like a good build-up, good PR, just to create that fan base, to get people to really tune into the Ashes. And we all know, for any English cricketer, Ashes is the biggest test series that you want to get involved in. So I'm sure everyone is going to get up earlier than normal. Are you guys going to get up earlier than normal?
Well,
what time do you guys start the show?
We'll try. Yeah, we don't start the show that early, but
really?
Yeah, maybe a few late nights during that. Monty, I was going to ask you about the fans you mentioned there, the Aussie fans getting under people's skin, getting under the England players' skins. How were the fans with you? Because you were quite an iconic figure. When you first went out to Australia, you'd obviously built up that rapport with the English fans over here. There were people wearing socks on their head to imitate your batka that you wear. How were the Aussie fans with you? Did you have that sort of that same relationship with them, or are they just constantly giving you stick all the time?
Well, I didn't see anyone wearing socks on their head in Australia, firstly. And secondly, though, I think they had... I remember my good coach, Greg Matthews, he took one of my patkas. He wore that in a charity match. So at that time, it was funny. It was 2006, 2007. And people just... I think the way I celebrated and the way I played with that enthusiasm, everyone sort of enjoyed that, connected to that energy. So that was, that was good. Yeah, it was good times.
Did you feel as England players, though, when you went out to Australia, you had to behave in a slightly different way? You couldn't perhaps have those late nights out as a team after test matches and things like that because of the amount of scrutiny you'd get from the media over there?
Well, that was one part of it. The other part of it is if I went down to McDonald's or Burger King, someone would take a photo, and next thing you know, you're on the front page having a mac and cheese, and
shouldn't be eating that during a series.
And sort of they've got a lowdown of your fat percentage on the front page. So that's that's how it is in Australia. Like they would, even if you go down to the shopping centre or wherever you go, they will always pick up on whatever you're doing.
And that's going to be even more the case this time when England go out there because of the whole situation we've seen here with Ben Stokes and Alex Hales and that ongoing investigation. Do you think that's going to change the way the England players are allowed to behave out there? Are there going to be curfews set? Do you think the management is going to go down that route of setting a curfew for the team and making sure that there's no chance that they can be spotted out at places they shouldn't be?
I think they they'll probably have some curfews in place, and they've got to obviously, demonstrate, good behaviour, and I'm sure their management. I know Andrew Strauss really well. When I played during his playing days, he was very much into, you got to be amongst, follow the rules, follow the team values, as we call it. We used to have the 10 Commandments, used to follow all of that. So I'm sure they'll probably just have a slightly stricter regime on that and make sure that all the players are ready to perform.
Just on the Ben Stokes issue, obviously it's been blown out of proportion in terms of just going out 2 days before a match because of what is alleged to have happened afterwards. But is that something that regularly did happen during your days? The fact that, after a victory or whatever it is, after a one-day international, that players did go out and they did, go and have a drink till the early hours of the morning, especially if there were a couple of days till the next match? Or is that just something that wasn't allowed in your time?
Well, I think it's common amongst all sports, isn't it? I'm sure it's common in your industry as well, that after a good show, boys sort of, wouldn't mind having a cup, going down to the pub or going to the bar, or...
Oh, it's a green tea for me.
Is it green tea for you?
Probably the same for me, actually, yeah.
Or do you just guys go home and tell your mum to, get you a nice masala tea ready?
Oh, that would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Do nice. One right now.
What advice, what advice would you give to Ben now?
Oh, that's an interesting topic at the moment. I think I don't know what the situation is in terms of, I was in Canada while I obviously saw, what happened, and it really depends what what the lawyers and everyone else has got in place in terms of where he's sitting with all of that. So,
Monty,
I don't know the knowledge on that.
Yeah, so. Sorry, I don't want to put you in that. No one knows until it comes out. But I'm talking about in terms of actually sort of like coming back into the team and coming back into the fold after something like that. Forget about the incident, but the whole coming back and facing your teammates afterwards, or the whole, trying to repair perhaps that relationship with the fans and that sort of thing. What advice can you give him there, or what can you share from your own experiences?
I think Ben Stokes is obviously a brilliant player, and I remember when I went to a T20 final at Edgbaston when Northampton Durham were playing in the semi-final, and I asked our coach, I said, who's that guy fielding? He's absolutely amazing. Who is that guy? And he goes, that's Ben Stokes. And he's just a standout cricketer. That's what he is. He has that X factor about him. And I really hope that he does get back playing, obviously, for England, and whatever, damages that have been caused amongst... that situation on the video with their families and everyone, maybe just a kind gesture or a surprise check just gets sent, to his home or something like that as a way of just, like nice little gift or whatever. And then everyone kind of moves on from that. And then hopefully Ben Stokes can get back playing for England, because I love watching him play. And I think it's great PR. If he goes to the Ashes, everyone sort of talks about it. I think there'll be more people just watching the game.
And to be in that changing room as well afterwards. To look at like the likes of Joe, Jimmy, Stuart, or even some of the younger guys who respected him, and the new guys coming in as well. What from your experience do you think, will he be all right there? Just sort of come back in, or is he going to have to do some work there?
I think it'll be all fine. It'll be like WWE Royal Rumble, wouldn't it? Everyone just sort of, there'll be a wrestling ring in the dressing room, everyone just having a bit of fun. So,
we're here to talk about mental health in cricket as well.
Yeah.
But before we get on to that, I'm an absolute cricket nut, as Nikesh is as well. How big of a miss is he going to be in the Ashes, Ben, if he's not there?
I think that would be a quite a big miss. He was when I was in the last Ashes, it was the third Test match at Perth, where he took on Mitchell Johnson and he scored 100. It was a brilliant 100. So you can see even from a young age, that was, I think he was probably 22, 23 then, and he had the fire, he had the courage, he had the fight to take on the big guys, and now his game is obviously gone up that level. He's definitely, I think he's definitely going to be a huge miss, but. you look at that sort of, that middle order. There's Chris Woakes there who can do that similar role. Moeen Ali has been brilliant for England. Then we have Johnny Bairstow. That sort of, three of them do really well. Is he going to be a big miss as much? I think there's other players in there who can fill that gap as well, because there's other all-rounders there who may not do the same job as him. It will just mean the responsibility may have to get shared a little bit. Maybe we just need another good series from Jimmy and Brody again. So it just puts a little bit of pressure on all the other players, but I'm sure that gets all... I don't think it'll be that much of a bigger miss because, there's the likes of Chris Woakes there as well.
Just before we get onto the mental health, Moeen Ali, one of the all-rounders you mentioned there, just how good and how important a player is he to England at the moment? He's had a fabulous year again. He can bowl, he can bat. He's very good in the field as well. England have unearthed a real gem with him, haven't they?
Yeah, he's a very good cricketer. I think what his strength is, he's able to adapt quickly to the situation, and he's never played in Australia before. That'll be a very interesting thing to see if he can. How can he still be effective in Australia? What methods he's going to implement? How is he going to do that? And I think that's what probably everyone will be interested in, because the wickets are slightly flatter. They don't turn as much. He will have to adjust his game. So I'm sure he's able to do that, because every time he's been challenged, I think he's just gone better and better as a cricketer. So I'm sure he will do well in Australia, knowing from his background how he kind of in the past series against South Africa was probably his best series. I'm sure he will able to find a way of how to be successful in Australia.
And he's at Mecca at the moment, isn't he? So I was just checking out his Instagram. So he's getting in the right mentality and enjoying himself and being at peace. Where do you think he should bat anyway? Just sorry, I know we need to get on to the mental health.
Oh right, batting order. That's a really interesting question, because where would you put him? You guys are cricket fans who are the biggest stakeholders in cricket.
Where would you put him? No one wants to hear what I think.
I want to know your thinking. Where would you put him?
So, is Ben Stokes in the side or not? That's the big question. If Ben Stokes isn't, for argument's sake, in the side, then I think Moeen is good enough to bat at number 6. Johnny Bairstow at 7. I mean, looking at the England batting order above that, you've got Root, Cook and the rest of it's kind of like open season, isn't it? And nobody's really cemented that spot and laid down a claim. Would you have him at 5?
I'd have him at 5.
Really? I think he's so good at batting with the tail as well, so he can do a job, either at the top of the order if you lose early wickets or bat with the tail if he's at number 6.
I'd just love to see him with that flat ball, slows down a little bit and just hit those cover drives. And also, the other thing, he does bat well with the tail, like I said, but he does bat well under pressure. But then, what do you think, Monty?
You've answered my question.
Which one? 5 or 6?
It would definitely be obviously in the top 6. I'll probably have him at 8 again.
8.
8 or 7. 8 or 7.
Fair enough.
Wow.
Fair enough.
I wouldn't have him in the top 6 because I think him being in there just gives that, if there's a lot of wickets fall, then he's still there. If he's in the top 6 and then he goes, I think you're kind of exposing the tail.
Fair enough. Well, that's settled. I'll go with that.